What are you working harder on? And I say this in my book. I like to say this a lot about hard work. I say hard work. If you're doing something that matters, that is important, that is of value, yes, you might put in effort and discipline. It's going to bring a certain amount of satisfaction, but just nobody gives a shit about how hard you worked. It's not how hard you work. It's not how long you work. It's not what you give up. It's what you deliver. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. All right, welcome to the show. I'm Justin Wink, Ph.D. Today, I'm going to be talking about the 5 things you are likely doing that you think will bring career certainty, but they're actually a complete waste of your time. As far as getting career and life certainty, I'm not telling you that they might not bring other value, but they're not bringing you the value that you think they are. And then I'll also reveal what will actually bring you certainty in your career and your life. But first, it's been a while since I've done a podcast, so let's get to know each other. Let's catch up. I know it's been a while. One of the things that I love about podcasts and other radio shows is getting to know about my host, what they're up to, what's been going on, and things like that. So yeah, and part of that is going to be related to this topic because you might be listening to the news or watching articles or YouTubing or TikToking the latest of what's going on in the world and the countries. One of the things that keeps coming up, at least that I see, and I know a lot of people in my circle see, is all about layoffs in the economy. I was just looking in 2023 so far, there's already been over 200,000 layoffs in the tech industry alone. Across the board, there's been 80,000 cuts in May alone. So it's like, it doesn't look like this is necessarily going to slow down. And then there's always the talk of interest rates going up and, inflation, and what about the recession? And there's a housing bubble, and is it going to burst or not burst? Can somebody buy a home, sell a home? Just all this worry, all of this uncertainty. And, I've been impacted myself because I still work at a tech company, and just a few weeks ago, they had a round of layoffs. They actually announced that like 4 months before. So there's 4 months of knowing that 10% of people were going to get cut, but we're not knowing which 10% or even when. And so many of my coworkers are stressed out and frustrated. And I realized that I was never worried. I was never bothered. I was never frustrated. Even the day that it was happening and somebody on my team got let go, I was just like, oh, it's what's happening. Like, oh, it's sad that someone that I've worked with for many, many years isn't going to be here anymore. Yet I knew that they were going to be okay. And I was wondering, like, do they know that they're going to be okay? Because I knew I was going to be okay no matter what. And I was also pretty confident that I wouldn't get laid off because I know the value I bring. And even if I did, because I know the value I bring, I wasn't worried. So I'm like, I don't want people to worry about them. And that's what a lot of this episode is. So be getting into the things that you're probably doing that haven't been, they do not and will not ever work. And I'll talk about what does actually work. Some other stuff that's been going on in my life is for the book. The book's been doing great. Continue to get more 5-star reviews on Amazon. I just saw it's also available on Barnes & Noble now. So if you're not a fan of Amazon, you can go check out Engineered to Love, Going Beyond Success on Barnes & Noble, as well as Amazon. But the big news, the exciting news is for those of you that aren't readers. I know I read most of my books by listening to them lately. So if you're one of those like me, or you can't read, you never did for whatever reason, or you just don't like to read, the audiobook is on the way. It's been recorded, and I just got the audio back a few days ago from the editor, and I was listening to it on my way to a little trip, which I'll talk a little bit about. And I'm like, I did a good fucking job. So I recorded my own audiobook because I figured you guys want to, if you want to hear my book, you probably want to hear me read it. I mean, especially I do this podcast, and I added some extra stuff, some extra stories, some extra fun, some extra tidbits. So even if you already did get the paperback or the Kindle, it's going to be worth checking out just for a little, some behind the scenes, some added stuff. You get to hear how I read it. And already my publisher was listening to it and was like, "Oh my gosh, this is really good! Like you are putting on a performance. It's so funny." So I'm excited. So as soon as that launches, we'll let you know. Um, yeah, I think but make sure you're on like one of my mailing lists, however you get that. I think do I still have engineeredtolove.com/VIP. I think that's still a thing. So if you want to make sure you don't miss out, or just make sure you're following me on social media. So I'm really excited about that. Uh, and the other thing that is like good is I finally got a chance to take a couple days to just really relax and unwind. Because I'll be honest, like the past 1 or 2 months has been pretty jam packed. As much as I do my best to always find time to always get my qigong in and other meditative practices and keep my exercise going, it's like with the book launch, then going into my grandmother dying to to layoffs, shit starts to build up, right? Like, and sometimes we just need a little bit extra, a little bit more to relax, recharge, and reconnect than maybe whatever our normal protocol is. And if you don't have a normal protocol, I'd encourage you to maybe, you know, pick up my book, which is going to have a lot of great ways for you to, relax. Which, as I mentioned, is one of the most powerful states of being any human can possibly be in, because that's when you have access to all of you, all of you, not just your logical mind, which in some ways is your logical mind isn't going to want to hear this because it's the one that's going to come up with all the reasons of why it's wrong. Is one of the dumbest parts about you. It's not able to see the big picture. Whereas when you get relaxed, you can bring together your logical mind, your heart, your emotions, your intuition, your bodily know-how, all that, and you have so many more options and so much more capability when you are relaxed than when you are a busy bundle of nerves and stress. And so I was able to, with this 4th of July holiday weekend here in the US, I'm actually recording this on 4th of July. So there's a chance you might hear some boom, pop, zang, doop, pop, pop, because I do live in a city where they allow legal fireworks. And so I've already heard some today. So you might hear some, or you might not. So we'll see. So yeah, so got today off and then also yesterday off, which is so basically a 4-day weekend. So I was just planning to go to a hot springs on a Monday, on Monday, but I was like looking up and I saw that they had an availability to spend the night. And usually you have to spend 2 nights at this place because it's like so busy and they can get away with it basically. But they had the availability for one night, but I wasn't able to book online because again, the system is like, no, on holiday weekends and weekends in general, you have to spend 2 nights. So I was like, I'm gonna call up. I bet they'll rent this to me. And I call and go like, hey, I see you have availability for this one place, one night. Can I get that? And she's like, yeah, absolutely. It's yours. I'm like, well, how soon can I get there? So, well, you can come as early as 7 a.m. and start enjoying the hot springs and the facilities. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I was planning to just go for a day trip and spend like maybe 6 hours at this place, but I really got like 24 total hours of, they have, this naturally fed mineral hot spring water. Some of it's incredibly hot. And then they have cold plunges. And if you've never had an opportunity to do like hot water to cold water plunge, it does something. For one thing I know it absolutely does is that at least cold water plunging, it will sort of exercise the lymphatic system, which is kind of like the body's waste system. So that's why cold, because it contracts your muscles, which is going to purge all that. Also, jumping, running stuff that also helps the lymphatic system. So there's that benefit, but then there's just something about where it just gets you out of your head and into your body and into the present. And then just being out in nature. Nature is such a phenomenal healing type of environment. And it's always able to sort of bring you into the moment. Because I went on like a little hike and this was like on my way, I stopped on the way into like a little place because the place I went is like outside of Calistoga, California, which is like wine country. If you know some of the wine country out in Napa type areas, whatever. So it's way that the top of the hill overlooking Calistoga and then the valley looking east. And I'm walking and I just like, oh, I'm gonna slow down and just appreciate the trees and the light coming in. And then I hear like a little bit of a rustling and I just stop and I look to my right and I immediately make eye contact with like this baby deer, this big giant floppy ears, and it's just staring at me. I'm staring at it. We probably just stared at each other for about 5 minutes, not more than 100 feet apart, which for a suburban city type like me, that's other than being at a zoo or something, that's about as close to the large wildlife as I'm comfortable with. It's just being there, being present with nature, and nature having gotten my attention to say, hey, stop, slow down, you're here. And recognizing that probably wherever you are, there's some way you can get some amount of nature. Like maybe you can't, drive 2+ hours to go way out into the hills where there's natural hot springs and that. But even if you're in a city and there's just little community garden or some a tree that birds fly and land on, or squirrels go up and down, or maybe there's some bugs doing some action. There's always some nature, no matter what, no matter how man-made our surroundings are. There's usually some nature that persists because that's just kind of how nature rolls. You can't stop it, and we are part of nature. And I think it's there to remind us that it can't stop what really is important to us. And it's often not being busy, not being stressed out, not being frustrated. So, with that, I'm back from my relaxing hot spring time where I got to connect with myself and also connect with some amazing, beautiful people. So the hot springs I go to is clothing optional, which is I really enjoy it because there's no fussing with the clothes when getting in and out of things, and then just getting to see people in their natural state. And there's something about the more we really get to see people with less stuff put on, whether that's beliefs that don't fit them um, or clothes that don't fit them, just the more we get to see how somebody is truly, authentically, just how they are. There's just always a certain beauty, no matter what it is, whether it's what would be our ideal or how we would want it. And I think that kind of goes with giving people some respect and some love, no matter what they believe, whether we agree with them or don't agree with them, that just appreciating them for being their unique selves. And I think that's kind of one of the lessons of going to a wonderful hot springs, where it's people can dress however they feel called. And yeah, so getting to connect with some amazing people there and having some great conversations and some great loving connection out in nature, and just being soaked in waters that the earth has heated up itself and added some beautiful extra mineral content. It's like, oh my gosh, my skin never felt so amazing and so wonderful. So it's just really, really awesome. So what is not helping you feel certain in your career and in your life? What are the 5 things? What are the 5 things that you have likely been doing that they might have some impact, but they're not making you feel secure in these uncertain times? So the first thing is working harder, longer hours, sacrificing. We think that, oh my gosh, there's fear. Maybe I just got to work harder. I got to do more. I got to do more. I got to do more. I got to sacrifice, and then I'll be seen. It's a complete. It doesn't do it, because the thing is, what are you working harder on? And I say this in my book. I like to say this a lot about hard work. I say fuck hard work, because hard work is not a virtue. If you're doing something that matters, that is important, that is of value, yes, you might put in effort and discipline. It's going to bring a certain amount of satisfaction, but just putting in more hours towards something that could be pointless, could have no value, that's not going to make you more employable. It's not going to make you more valued and less likely to get laid off. It's not going to make sure that your clients don't leave you, because again, it doesn't matter. Nobody gives a shit. I'm just gonna be real plain, real blunt here. Nobody gives a shit about how hard you worked. I always hate when um like I'm somewhere, like I've gone to a retreat or I've paid for something and they go like, we put in so much hard work. And I'm like, I don't give a shit. It's either good or it's not. If it's good and it took you 2 minutes, good on you. But if you worked your ass off and it was awful, shame on you. Like, what a waste that you put that much time, effort into something that that didn't bring value. So it's not how hard you work, it's not how long you work, it's not what you give up, it's what you deliver. So that number one is working harder. So that in and of itself, if you're not working hard on something that matters, then it doesn't matter. Second thing that you might be focusing on, have focused on, to think this is gonna do the thing. This is gonna make sure that I'm secure. They're never gonna get rid of me, or I'm gonna always be able to get a better job because of this. It's certifications. So whether that's degrees, whether that's a certificate in something like I'll get a coaching certificate, or I'll get a certificate in data analytics, or more skills. And you might be able to like, well, Justin, like, easy for you to say you have a Ph.D. in electrical engineering, you've got your yoga teacher trainings and this and all these other, you got all these. It's true, and so I know how worthless they can be as far as making you feel secure, because as much as those things help you, they can also be a hindrance, because they can always be used as a thing of like, well, maybe this person's too qualified, or maybe we'd have to pay them too much, or maybe we don't know how to do with them what they really want to do. And the other thing is, a lot of certifications, a lot of skills, again, if you don't know what you're trying to get at, a complete waste. So it's like I could go get more certifications, but if I'm not actually working with anybody, they're of no value. And so again, it's like there's someone who's done lots of hiring for companies over the years, the number of people that even have degrees at top universities, but they actually can't do anything with it. It's astounding. Whereas, again, it's what do you deliver? If you have no formal education, no formal certifications, but you can get something done of value, then somebody's going to do that. And again, it's if you need someone outside of you to tell you that you're worthwhile, then you're effectively telling yourself and you're telling other people that you're not worthwhile. So again, this is the second thing. More degrees, certification, skills, not going to secure you in your job, in your career, in your life. Just not going to do it. The third thing, so we got three more things, is basically just doing what you're told, following directions, whatever they say. When I say jump, you ask how high, that type of shit. That old, my dad was in the Marine Corps, and that's how he was brought up. And that's, it's basically just do exactly what you're told when you're told. If someone in charge says it, you do it. That's also not going to help you have your career be secure. It's, you're not going to feel better. Just like, well, I'm doing it. Because you probably know whether the person that you're taking orders from is full of shit or not. I've had many managers where it's like I knew that this person was not well respected in my group, and it really didn't matter if I made him happy. There were other people that their opinion mattered more. So it really is about whose orders, whose instructions are you following, and to what purpose? Because again, eventually somebody is gonna go, all of this stuff being done, does this add value? Is this what we want? Is this making our organization better? Is this making profit? Is this making it easier to get things done? Is this person enjoyable? And if you're just doing a bunch of stuff that somebody says, that eventually somebody decides like everything that this person has to do with, including you, is no longer needed or wanted or desired, you're gone. And you probably know this. On some level, this is true. And so just blindly following orders, there's who else in history has blindly followed orders, and how are they looked upon in history? So it's about being discerning. I once had a principal engineer I worked for, and he told me, yeah, when my boss, who's a director, tells me what to do, I wait for him to tell me 3 times. If he tells me 3 times, then I know it's probably actually important. Otherwise, I just ignore it. So you can get very, very high up, and actually you're more likely to get very high up if you are discerning about what you do, what instructions you follow. I am really big on, hey, is this going to add value? And I use my mind and I use my intuition, and because I'm relaxed, I'm not just busy, so I can see the bigger picture and go, is this going to do something that matters? And if the answer is no, then this is where having great communication skills comes in. And I have phenomenal communication skills. And if you don't, there's lots of ways to improve your communication skills. I would consider that as probably something that would actually be beneficial, is improving your communication skills. So maybe that's a little side bonus. I find ways to skillfully figure out how to communicate. Hey, maybe let's do something else, or I just don't do it. And if it wasn't important, it usually doesn't come back. So that's the third thing. So the fourth thing is expecting that it's going to get easier if something else happens. Like if you get more money, if you get promoted, if the company merges, if the stock goes public, if only. So this expectation that something outside of you is going to make it easier, I got news for you. It won't. Because you've probably experienced things happening, and where you did get a raise, or you did get promoted, where something did awesome happen with your company, where the stock market did go up 30%. Did you feel more secure? Did you really in your heart feel more secure? Because I know before I learned the secret that I'm going to reveal at the end of this episode, I didn't, even though I kind of think I already revealed the secret a little bit at the beginning, but that's okay. You can always hear it more and more. So yeah, just expecting that something is going to happen and it's going to be like a magic wand and everything's going to be better. There is no magic wand outside of you. There is nobody that is going to bestow something that is going to let you feel like you're secure, like you finally made it. It's a lie. It's an illusion. There is no quote unquote making it. There is no making it. Not from anything external. So that's the fourth thing that is not bringing you career certainty. It's not bringing you life certainty. So what's the fifth thing? The fifth is just pretending that you're not worried, that you're not uncertain, and just hoping, wishing, praying that it's all going to be okay. Just being that ostrich with the head in the sand and just like, nope, there's layoffs. Nope, it's not happening. Nope, won't happen to me. If it does happen to me, I'm going to be fine. It doesn't work. You got to acknowledge your fears. You got to acknowledge the uncertainty, and then you got to work with it. So you can't just ignore it. It's gnawing at you. As much as you try to ignore it, part of you knows, and it's worrying, and you're going to be doing things to soothe yourself, like eating too much, using substances, maybe making bad choices in relationships, maybe doing some of the other things, like working harder, trying to get more skills, certifications, whether they actually make sense or not, just following instructions. You're going to be doing all these things that I've been talking about that don't work if you don't actually get to the root of what will work. So now you know the 5 things that don't work. You know that just working harder, longer hours sacrificing, that doesn't work. You know that the second thing, more degrees, certification, that doesn't work. The third thing I said that doesn't work is doing everything as you're told. That doesn't work. The fourth is just expecting that something external is going to happen to solve your problems. That doesn't work. And then the fifth and final thing that doesn't work is just pretending that it's all going to be okay and that you're not worried. So and again, I'm not saying that any of these things are bad. You can totally do these things because they do have certain payoffs. So they can get you to certain places if you're clear on where you want to go and you're going to utilize them properly. But if we're talking about making you feel certain, feel secure, feel like I'm okay in life and I'm always going to be okay, they aren't going to do that. They will have impact in your life, but they're not going to have the impact of making you feel at peace, feel it secure, and feeling good enough. So what does work? What does allow you to actually feel good enough, to feel secure, to feel certain in this uncertain environment where 200,000 people have been laid off already this year, that there's a possible housing bubble going to crash, that the recession is just around the corner, and the value of the dollar could go who knows where. Like in all of this, what's the one thing that you can do that lets you feel like I'm going to be okay? I'm going to be okay. I know that I've got skills. It's basically, it's so simple. Simple does not mean easy. Simple does not mean straightforward. Simple does not mean obvious, but simple is simple. And the simple truth is that if you know who you are and where you've been, you are going to know that you are, have been, and always will be okay. So if you know how you've gotten to where you are, you know that you can always get back here quicker, easier, faster. Problem is that you've been so overwhelmed and so concerned about where you need to go that you've forgotten where you are and how you got here. When you stop and look clearly at where you are in your life, what you've accomplished, what you've done, who you are, all that you bring, all who you know, all that you can possibly become, all the ways you've adapted, all the experiences you've had in life, once you are conscious of that, you are indestructible. You are what I like to call fireproof, which means that even if you got fired, you're going to roll off. You're going to be like Teflon. You're going to be bulletproof, and you are going to be fine because you've gotten to where you are today. And if you look back and see all of the shit that you've gone through, all of the challenge, all of the struggle, all of the heartache, all of the grief, all of the accomplishment, all of the triumph, that if you did get fired or if you have been fired, there's nothing to worry about because you've overcome way worse, and you got to where you are where you are listening to this today. And because you are listening to this today, you are fine, you are okay, you are breathing, you are listening, you are thinking, you are feeling, and there is opportunity to get back to where you were and beyond. And beyond, that's a whole other topic, and that's something I do love to talk about, but I want to give you the gift of knowing where you are. So how do you actually do that? How do you actually stop, look, and know who you are, where you are, and be able to really take that in and assimilate that into your state of being so that you know, oh my gosh, I'm going to be fine. Like, I know my value. Because a lot of times we think that the value is what others will place on what we do. No, no, no. You get the value that you put on your value. So if you don't value it, nobody else will. You've seen this. There's plenty of people that offer the same type of service, same type of, let's take massage therapy, for example. Is there a little bit of variation there? Actually, there's a huge variation, but I'm sure you've got, maybe some of you get massage, maybe some of you don't. I've gotten a lot of massage over the year, but I didn't get my first massage until I think I turned like 29 or 30 as a gift because I was like, I don't deserve that. But once I did, I'm like, I deserve this. So I've had range of massages of price and quality, and price does not always go with quality. The price is whatever the therapist believes it is worth. And then there's, the quality that I discern as the customer. But you get what you believe you deserve. If you believe you deserve top rate, you can get top rate. If you don't, you could be the best in the world. But if you don't believe you deserve best in class compensation, you're not going to get it. Period. End of story. So how do you actually learn to value your value as this complete human that has done so much? And I'm gonna hint at it. So this is where, again, it's you know who you are and you know where you've been. And there's two ways that I can help you. One is, it's in my book. It's exercise 2. It's all about doing a complete life inventory. So you just go get Engineered to Love from Going Beyond Success to Fulfillment. You get that either on Amazon or Barnes and Noble. Exercise 2. You do that exercise, you are going to feel fucking phenomenal. And you're going to have so much that you can bump up your resume. You can put together an amazing bio, and you're going to know your value. And you're going to be like, you know what? There's nothing to worry about. So there's that. And I also recently did a masterclass called Fireproof Life Shield to help people feel certain in uncertain times in their career. And so if you want to find out when the next one of those is going to be, I highly recommend doing it with me live, or if you just want the recording, because the recording turned out phenomenal. So you can go to justinwink.com/fireproof. So that'll be in the show notes. So those are some ways. Again, these things are super, super low cost, but you're going to have to put in a little time, a little bit of effort. It's not going to be hard work. It's not going to be hard work, but it is going to take a little effort and a little bit of discipline. And you're going to feel so good, so satisfied, so glad you did, because you're actually going to be doing something that makes you feel like you're secure, like you're certain that everything's going to work out. No matter what's going on in the world around you, you are solid and secure in knowing that you are, have been, and always will be okay. So with that, I do thank you so much for listening. It's been fantastic to be getting back into doing these podcasts and getting out more after, kind of going through the challenges and the grief of losing my grandmother after my book launched, and which brought up the passing of my mom, which happened. Hasn't even been a year. So it's good to be back, getting out there, getting the word out so that people can feel phenomenal, even when it might seem like the world is falling apart around you. As much as it might seem like it, the world, there's a lot to be amazed and grateful with in the world when you start to look for it. And as you see the amazingness in you, you will see the amazingness in the outer world start to come more and more. And it's one of those, just little by little, try it out. And with that, thank you and good day. Thanks for tuning in to Engineering Emotions and Energy with Justin Wink, Ph.D. Today's episode resonated with you? Please subscribe and leave a 5-star review. Your feedback not only supports the show, but also helps others find us and start their journey of emotional and energetic mastery. You can also help by sharing this podcast with someone you think will love it just as much as you do. Together, we're engineering more amazing lives.